No. Nick, you love that gorgeous creature.
Not quite what you're expecting.
I was 50-50 on it, to be honest, but I find hurling compliments at Katie is always a good choice if it's a choice.
Yeah. Better than hurling insults, at least.
Yep.
How are you, Duncan?
I'm all right. I literally just this second finished catching up from Friday.
Ah, the just-in-time method, eh?
Yeah. I was trying to catch up all weekend, but just hadn't got the energy. So
yeah.
So a nuke stupidity is fresh on my mind. How are things with you?
Yeah. Okay. Slowly settling into a new job.
Ah, good.
Hey,
not sent any more bizarre messages around the company recently.
Managed to avoid that, thankfully.
It's probably only funny once, to be honest. Bina, Bracken.
Hey, Bina, good hair.
Yeah. It's so bouncy.
Wow. Yeah.
That suits you a lot.
It looks great on you.
Thanks. I'm still learning how to. Last time I had a fringe, that more of my hair was part of the fringe, so I keep trying to like do the fringe bit and just pulling half my too much hair in my face.
Does it still surprise you when you walk past a mirror?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to see a cake that I made today?
Oh my god, yes.
Okay. It's an orange upside down cake, and it's got like orange and rosemary drizzle. And it's tasty as fuck. Can you see?
Wow.
Looks delicious.
Your timing is perfect as usual.
Yep. Wow. Arrived just as the cake came on the screen.
It's not a coincidence. I felt it. I felt the cake calling to me. Cake, you say? Bracken, it looks good as hell. I'm so impressed.
So it's relatively easy to make, but it's so tasty because like the top of it with the oranges is so tangy. It's delicious.
You have a recipe for it? Because I end up with oranges all the time in the veg box and don't necessarily eat them all.
Yes, I used 3 big oranges for this one, so this will use them up. I can send it to you.
Yeah, I made one with an upside down gin and orange cake recently, and that was kind of tasty, but I think there was too much syrup in the upside down bit.
Bina! Sorry. Bina, you've cut your hair.
I got someone else to cut my hair.
So good.
So exciting.
It's so bouncy.
Oh, it's lovely. Isn't it beautiful? That really suits you. Martin, look how nice Bina's hair is.
I'm just pulling up right now so I can see.
Martin is in here sneakily on his own device.
Martin.
See, Nick, look at those wonderful bookshelves behind Frankie and how large they are. How can you say that I don't have enough bookshelf space in our house?
This sounds like an ongoing
you even have
thing.
a bookcase if you don't have a whole wall of bookcase.
It seems like you guys have enough rooms that you could just make one of your rooms a library.
A study. Stop giving her ideas.
This is an idea I already had.
I know. Stop reminding her of ideas.
Why are you against this idea, Nick?
Yeah, Nick, do you hate books?
Why are you getting life wrong?
You also have very high ceilings, so it would be perfect to get one of those like
book ladders
on the runners. Yeah.
That'd be so good. Also,
Frankie going from one side of the screen to another.
clearly the wrong audience if you were looking for any backup for less bookcases, less complicated bookcases,
You
fewer.
Mute. I
That
will
too.
mute you.
Pedant.
Yeah.
Both greater and more bookcases.
Oh, Carmen, I got your picture through of your Storytime setup. Thank you very much. Anybody who hasn't sent me their Storytime setup photo, if you would like to be in the thing, this is definitely not obligatory, but if anybody would like to be in the thing, like, send me a picture of your Storytime setup.
Do I get a poem, Frankie?
Oh, mother. Okay, you wait just there 1 second. You do get a poem. We're not starting Storytime till you had your poem. Give me like 2 minutes.
Ina, you look adorable. Would you be offended if I copied your haircut?
I was just about to say if you had a haircut.
I've had a fairly significant haircut, to be fair. Yeah.
You were right too. Your hair is much boingier when it's short.
Yeah, like when it gets too long, all of the curl comes out of it. Or it all sits at the bottom where you can't really see it.
There's a Jenny. She's all
I should keep mine
examinated.
long so we don't get mixed up as much in the future.
I think it's funny that we get mixed up. I
Yeah,
don't know, I just
but I
like
pretty much had that haircut for a while, and my hair gets that texture like when it's that short too. So we would get more mixed up. I think it's just like short, vaguely curly haired person who likes yellow and wears glasses. I don't know. There's a few.
No, I get mixed up with you as well, Ainsley, and I'm not that short, and I also don't wear glasses.
It's fair.
Just
Okay,
the-
there's
is it
no
just the curl?
Josephine. I also get mixed up with Josephine.
She's
Cahill.
also not very short.
No, she's not. I don't know. I think people
I
just
think
don't.
I've been confused for Josephine before, but not for Katie. But maybe the four of us are just
I got confused as you by your neighbor, but you said that
Weirdly
she does it all the time.
interchangeable.
my neighbor also confused my friend Lizzie for me, and Lizzie is at least a head and a half taller with straight dark hair and is like very slim and has an entirely different body shape to me and is an entire like like yeah.
Wow.
She doesn't know what I look like at all.
Sounds like your neighbor's paying attention.
Yeah. Every time I see her, she just tells me she never sees me. And I don't know why she expects to see me because we're not allowed to go anywhere. And also none of her windows face our house. So.
Frankie, I have a poem for Katie. May I do my poem for Katie, please? Okay. Katie. Okay, pretend this is on the other day. Katie, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Katie. Happy birthday, Katie. Hey, Katie, since it is your birthday today and not on any other day, I have definitely got you a poem in time for your birthday, which is today. Would you like your birthday poem? Okay. So, it's by I'm not sure if I'm getting this pronunciation right, Moja Kaf, or Moja Kaf, possibly, and it's called The Marvelous Women. So, oh, hold on, I might mute people. 1 second. Mute. The Marvelous Women. All women speak two languages, the language of men and the language of silent suffering. Some women speak a third, the language of queens. They are marvelous, and they are my friends. My friends give me poetry. If it were not for them, I'd be a seamstress out of work. They send me their dresses, and I sew together poems, enormous sails for ocean journeys. My marvelous friends, these women who are elegant and fix engines, who teach gynecology and literacy, and work in jails and sing and sculpt and paint the 99 names, who keep each other's secrets and pass on each other's spirits like small packets of leavening. It is from you I fashion poetry. Scoop up in handfuls glittering sequins that fall from your bodies as you fall in love, marry, divorce, get custody, get cats, and supreme courts of justice argue with God. You rescuers on galloping steeds of the weak and the wounded, creatures of beauty and passion, powerful workers in love, you are the poems. I am only your stenographer. I am the hungry transcriber of the conjuring recipes you hoard in the chests of your great-grandmothers. My marvelous friends, the women of brilliance in my life, who levitate my daughters, you are a coat of many colours in silk tie-dye so gossamer it can be crumpled in one hand. You houris, you mermaids, swimmers in dangerous waters, defiers of sharks, my marvellous friends, thirsty Hagars and laughing Sarahs, you eloquent radio Aishas, Marys drinking the secret milkshakes of heaven, slinky Zuleikas of desire, gay Walladers, Harriets parting the sea, Esthers in the palace, Penelopes of patient scheming. You are the last hope of the shrinking women. You are the last hand to the fallen knights. You are the only epics left in the world. Come with me, come with poetry. Jump on this wild chariot. Hurry. Happy birthday, Katie.
Pretend that Nick is you.
Oh, I'm so pretty.
Oh, I feel so good. I feel so good. Oh, the squeezing and the squeezing. Oh, it's nice. Oh, nice hug. Thank you.
That was
Was it
beautiful.
very-
Thank you.
I'm so glad you liked it.
That was a very good choice for Katie. I can 100% see why that would make you think of Katie so much.
I was like, so last Friday, the second you were like asked me if there could be a birthday poem, I was like, I know the one. Obviously, I couldn't remember the title or the poet or any of the lines in it. But I was like, there's a one about women and how great they are at poetry and stuff. And that's why I couldn't pull one out of my ass on Friday, because I was like, no, it has to be this one. And this one was not in my ass. It was elsewhere on my computer. So thank you for waiting, and I'm glad you liked it. Oh, story time. Okay. It's story time. You heard the beautiful lady. Now, muting you all. Okay, now. Live crew, catch-up crew. Small content warning for this chapter also. Another instance of some gross ableist language. This is going to be satisfying. Okay. So. Are you sitting comfortably? Martin, are you sitting comfortably? He's sitting comfortably too. Then I'll begin. Chapter 6. Anouk. Friday, 17th of December. Invocation to the wind. First, light your candles. Red ones are good for luck and stuff, though white ones are okay too, of course. But if you really want to do the thing properly, make them black candles, because black's the colour of the year's end, the slow, dark time between Dia de los Muertos and December full moon, when the dead year begins to turn again. Now, draw a yellow chalk circle on the floor. Move the bed and the blue rag rug so we can use the wooden floor. Put them back when it's over so Maman doesn't see the marks we've left. Maman wouldn't understand. But then, Maman doesn't need to know. You'll see I'm wearing my red shoes. I don't know why. They feel lucky somehow, like nothing bad could ever happen when I'm wearing them. And carry some coloured powder paint or sand. You'll see I'm using sugar crystals to mark the points around the circle. Black, north. White, south. Yellow, east. Red, west. Scatter the sand all around the circle to pacify the little wind gods. Now for the sacrifice. Frankincense and myrrh. That's what the Magi brought, you know, for the Jesus baby in his crib. I guess if it was good enough for the Jesus baby, then it's good enough for us. And gold, well, I've got some chocolate squares wrapped in gold paper, which ought to be okay, don't you think? Zosie says the Aztecs always used to offer chocolate to the gods. And blood, of course, though I'm hoping no one won't want much of that. Pinprick. Ouch. Okay, that's all. Light the incense and we're ready to go. Now, sit in a circle, legs crossed, and take your peg dolls, one in each hand. You'll need a bag of red sugar crystals to scatter on the floor for drawing it. First comes the sign of Lady Moon Rabbit. Pantoufle can keep that sign for me, here at the edge of the chalk circle. Then we draw blue hummingbird Tezcatlipoca for the sky on my left side, and red monkey Tezcatlipoca for the earth on yours. Bam stands guard on that side, with the sign of one monkey next to him. There, that's ready. Isn't it fun? We did this once before, remember? But something went wrong. It won't this time. This time we're calling the right wind. Not the hurricane, but the changing wind, because there's something here we need to change. Okay? Now, draw the spiral sign in the red sugar on the floor. Now for the invocation. I know you don't know the words, but you can join in the song all the same if you'd like. Sing. V'là le bon vent, v'là le joli vent. That's right. Softly, though. Good. Now, the peg dolls. That one's Rue. You don't know Rue, but you will soon. And that's Maman, see? Maman in her pretty red dress. Her real name is Vianne Rocher. That's what I whispered in her ear. And who's this, with the mango hair and the big green eyes? That's you, Rosette. That's you. And we'll stand them all here in the circle together, with the candles burning and the sign of Ehecatl in the middle. Because they belong together, like the people in the nativity house. And soon they'll be together again, and we can be a family. And this, who's this outside the yellow circle? That's Thierry with his mobile phone. We don't want the wind to hurt Thierry, but he can't be here with us anymore, because you can only have one father, Rosette, and he's not the one. So he has to go. Sorry, Thierry. Can you hear the wind outside? That's the wind of change on its way. Zosie says you can ride the wind, that it's like a wild horse that can be tamed and trained to do just what you want it to. You can be a kite, a bird. You can grant wishes. You can find your heart's desire. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Come on, Rosette. Let's ride. Chapter 7. Zosie. Saturday, 15th of December. It's amazing, isn't it, how deceitful a child can be. Like a domestic cat, purring on the sofa by day, but by night, a strutting queen, a natural killer, disdainful of her other life. Anouk is no killer, at least not yet, but she does have that feral side to her. I'm delighted to know that, of course. I'm not in the market for a household pet, but I'll need to keep a close eye on her if she's going to take action behind my back. First, she invoked a hecathle without me. I do not resent this at all. In fact, I'm rather proud of her. She's imaginative, ingenious, making up rituals where existing ones do not satisfy. A natural chaoist, in order. Secondly, however, and rather more importantly, she went to see Rue yesterday, in secret and against my advice. Fortunately, she wrote it all down in her diary, which I monitor on a regular basis. It's easy to do. Like her mother, she keeps her secrets in a shoebox at the back of her wardrobe. Predictable but convenient, and I've been checking both since I arrived. And a good thing too, as it turns out. She's meeting him today, she says, in the cemetery at 3 o'clock. In a way, it couldn't be better. My plans for Vianne are nearing completion, and it's nearly time for the next stage. But stealing a life is so much easier on paper than in the flesh. A few discarded household bills, a passport lifted from a handbag at the airport, even the name on a fresh gravestone, and the job's practically done for me. But this time I want more than a name, more than credit details, much more than money. It's a game of strategy, of course. Like so many games of strategy, it's based on putting the pieces in place without letting the opponent suspect what's happening, then deciding which pieces to sacrifice in order to emerge the winner. After that, it's one-on-one, a battle of wills between Jan and me. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to it even more than I could have imagined. To face her at last in the final round, knowing what's at stake for both of us. Now that will be a game worth playing. Let's recap the moves so far. Between my other interests, I have been working very hard on the contents of Jan's piñata, and I have discovered a number of things. One, she is not Jan Charbonneau. Well, we already knew that, of course. But more interestingly, she is not Vianne Rocher, or so the contents of her box would suggest. I knew there was something important I'd missed, and the other day when she was out, I eventually found what I'd been looking for. Actually, I'd seen it before and overlooked its importance as I focused on Vianne Rocher. But it's there in the box, tied with a piece of faded red ribbon, A silver charm that might equally have come from a cheap bracelet or a Christmas cracker, shaped like a cat and blackened with time. It's there in Vianne's shoebox, with a packet of sandalwood and some tarot cards that have seen better days. Like myself, Vianne travels light. Nothing she keeps is trivial. Every item in this box has been kept for a reason, and none less so than this silver charm. It's mentioned in the newspaper clipping, so brittle and brown that I'd not dared to unfold it completely. The account of the disappearance of 18-month-old Sylviane Caillou from outside a chemist's more than 30 years ago. Did she ever try to go back? Instinct tells me she did not. You choose your family, as she says, and that girl, her mother, whose name doesn't appear in the clipping, is nothing to her but DNA. To me, however, I'm curious. I looked her up on the internet. It took a little time. Children vanish every day, and this was an old case, long since closed and without great interest. But I found it at last, and with it the name of Sylviane's mother. 21 when the baby was taken, now 49 according to her school reunion website. Divorced, no kids, still living in Paris near Père Lachaise and managing a little hotel. It's called Le Stendhal, and you can find it on the corner of Avenue Gambetta and Rue Matisse. No more than a dozen bedrooms in all, a balding tinsel Christmas tree and an extravagantly over-chinced interior. By the fireplace, there is a small round table upon which a tiny doll in a pink silk dress stands stiffly under a glass cloche. Another doll, this one dressed as a bride, stands watch at the foot of the stairs. A third, blue-eyed in a red fur-trimmed coat and hat, is perched on the reception desk. And there, behind the desk, Madame herself. A big-bodied woman with the drawn face and thinning hair of the habitual dieter, and a look of her daughter in her eyes. Madame, can I help you? I'm from Le Rocher de Montmartre. We're doing a special promotion on handmade chocolates, and I wondered if I could give you these samples to try. Madame's face went sour at once. I'm not interested, she said. There's no obligation. Just try a few and thank you. No. Of course, I'd been expecting that. Parisians are deeply suspicious folk, and it did sound rather too good to be true. All the same, I took out a box of our specials and opened it on the desktop. 12 truffles rolled in cocoa powder, each nestled in its bassinet of crinkly gold paper, a yellow rose on the corner of the box. The symbol of Lady Blood Moon scratched onto the side of the lid. There's a calling card inside, I said. If you like them, you can order direct. If not, I shrugged. They're on the house. Go on, try one. See what you think. Madame hesitated. I could see her natural suspicion at war with the scent that came from the box. The smoky espresso scent of cacao, the hint of clove, of cardamom, of vanilla, the fleeting aroma of Armagnac, a fragrance like lost time, a bitter sweetness like childhood's end. So, Are you giving these out to every hotel in Paris? You're not going to make much of a profit if you are. I smiled. Speculate to accumulate, that's what I say. She picked a truffle from its bed. Bit into it. Not bad. In fact, I think it's more than that. Her eyes half close, her thin mouth moistens. You like it? She should. The seductive sign of Lady Blood Moon lights up her face with its rosy glow. I can see Vianne in her more clearly now, but a Vianne grown old and tired somehow, embittered by the pursuit of wealth, a childless Vianne with no outlet for her love but her hotel and her china dolls. It's certainly something, said Madame. The card's inside. Come visit us. Eyes closed, Madame nodded dreamily. Merry Christmas, I said. Madame did not answer. And beneath the cloche, the blue-eyed doll in the fur coat and hat smiled serenely out at me, like a child frozen in a bubble of ice. Chapter 8. Anouk. Saturday, 15th of December. I could hardly wait to see Rue today, to see if things were different, to see if I'd managed to change the wind. I'd expected a sign, snow or something, or northern lights, or a weird weather change. But when I got up this morning, it was the same yellow sky and the same wet road. And although I kept an eye on Maman, she didn't look any different, but worked in the kitchen like she always does, with her hair tied back sensibly and an apron over her black dress. Still, you have to give these things time to work. Things don't change so quickly, and I guess it wasn't reasonable for me to expect everything to happen, for Rue to come back and Maman to wake up to the truth about Thierry and for it to snow, all at once in a single night. And so I stayed cool, went out with Jean-Loup, all the time waiting for 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock by Dalida's tomb. You can't miss it. It's a life-sized sculpture, though I'm not quite sure who Dalida was. Some kind of actress, probably. I got there a few minutes late, and Rue was waiting for me. At 3:10, it was already quite dark, and as I ran up the steps toward the tomb, I could just see him sitting on a gravestone nearby, looking a bit like a sculpture himself, very still in his long grey coat. I thought you weren't coming. I'm sorry I'm late. I gave him a hug. I had to get rid of Jean-Loup, you see. He grinned at that. You make it sound so sinister. Who's he? I explained, feeling a bit embarrassed to say. A friend from school. He loves this place. He likes to take photographs here. Thinks he's going to see a ghost someday. Well, he's in the right place, said Rue. He looked at me. So, what's going on? Oh boy. Well, I didn't even know where to start. So many things have happened over the past few weeks, and actually we had a fight. Stupid, I know, but my eyes were watering. Nothing to do with Rue, of course, and I hadn't meant to mention it, but now that I had. What about? He said. Something stupid. Nothing, I said. Rue gave me the kind of smile you sometimes see on the faces of church statues. Not that he looks anything like an angel, of course, but kind of patient, if you know what I mean. A kind of, I can wait all day here if I have to smile. Well, he won't come round to the chocolaterie, I said, feeling cross and a bit weepy, and especially cross that I told Rue. Says he doesn't feel comfortable. Actually, that's not all he said. But the rest of it was so stupid and so wrong that I couldn't bear to say it again. I mean, I really like Jean-Luc, but Zosie's my best friend, apart from Rue and Maman, of course, and it bothers me that he's so unfair. He doesn't like Zosie, said Rue. I shrugged. He doesn't know her, really, I said. It's because of that time she snapped at him. She's not at all uptight usually. She just hates having her picture taken. But it wasn't just that. He showed me today 24 pictures he'd printed off from his computer and taken that day in the chocolaterie. Pictures of the Advent house, of Maman of me, of Rosette, and lastly, 4 pictures of Zosie, all of them taken at funny angles, as if he were trying to catch her in secret. That's not fair. She told you to stop. Jean-Luc looked stubborn. Look at them, though. I looked at them. They were terrible. All of them blurred and looking nothing like her at all. Just a pale oval for a face and a mouth that twisted like barbed wire. And in all of them, the same printing flaw. A darkish smudge around her head with a yellow circle surrounding it. You must have messed the prints up, I said. He shook his head. That's just how they came out. Well, it must have been the light or something. Maybe, he said. Or something else. I looked at him. What do you mean? You know, he said. Ghost lights. Oh boy, ghost lights. I guess Jean-Luc's been wanting to see his weird phenomena for such a long time that he's totally flipped out this time. I mean, Zosie, of all people. How wrong can you be? Rue was watching me with that carved angel look. Tell me about Zosie, he said. You sound like you're pretty good friends. So I told him about the funeral and the lollipop shoes and Halloween and the way Zosie had suddenly blown into our lives like something from a fairy tale and made everything fabulous. Your mother looks tired. I thought, you can talk. He looked exhausted, his face even paler than usual and his hair in desperate need of a wash. I wondered if he was getting enough to eat and whether I ought to have brought some food. Well, it's a busy time for us, with Christmas and everything. Hang on a minute, I thought to myself. Have you been spying on us? I said. Rue shrugged. I've been around. Doing what? He shrugged again. Call me curious. Is that why you stayed? Because you were curious? That, and because I thought your mother was in some kind of trouble. I jumped at that. But she is, I said. We all are. And I told him again about Thierry and his plans and how nothing was the same anymore and how I missed the old days when everything was simple. Rue smiled. It was never simple. At least we knew who we were, I said. Rue just shrugged and said nothing. I put my hand in my pocket. There was his peg doll, the one from last night. 3 red hairs and a whispered secret, and the spiral sign of air cattle, the changing wind, drawn in felt pen over the heart. I closed my hand around it, hard, as if that could make him stay. Rue shivered and pulled his coat tighter around him. So, you're not really leaving, are you? I said. I was going to. Perhaps I should. But there's still something bothering me. Anouk, have you ever had the feeling there's something going on? That somebody's using you, manipulating you somehow, and if only you knew how and why? He looked at me, and I was relieved to see no anger in his colours, just reflective blues. He went on in a quiet voice, and I thought that it was the most I'd ever heard him say all at once. Rue being a man of not many words. I was angry yesterday. So angry that Vianne could have hidden such a thing from me, that I couldn't think straight, couldn't listen, couldn't think. Since then I've been doing some thinking, he said. I've been wondering how the Vianne Rocher I knew could have turned into someone so different. At first I thought it was just Thierry, but I know his type. And I know Vianne. I know she's tough. And I know that there's no way she's going to let someone like de Tressé take over her life. Not after everything she's been through. He shook his head. No. If she's in trouble, it's not from him. Then who? I said. He looked at me. There's something about your friend, Zosie. Something I can't put my finger on. But I can't help feeling it when she's around. There's something too perfect. Something not right. Something almost dangerous. What do you mean? Rue just shrugged. Now I was starting to feel annoyed. First Jean-Loup and now Rue. I tried to explain. She's helped us, Rue. She works in the shop, looks after Rosette. She teaches me things. What kind of things? Well, if he didn't like Zosie, I was hardly going to tell him that. I put my hand in my pocket again, where the peg doll felt like a little bone wrapped up in wool. You don't know her, that's all. You should give her a chance. Rue looked stubborn. When he makes up his mind, it's hard to change it. It's so unfair. My 2 best friends. You'd like her. Really, I know you would. She looks after us. If I believed that, I'd be gone by now. As it is, you'll stay? I forgot about being mad at Rue and threw my arms round his neck. You'll come to our party on Christmas Eve. Well, he sighed. Fabulous! That way you can really get to know Zosie, and you can meet Rosette properly. Oh, Rue, I'm so glad you're staying. Yeah, me too. But he didn't sound glad. In fact, he sounded worried as hell. Still, the plan worked, which is what counts. Rosette and I managed to change the wind. So, how are you doing for cash? I said. I've got... I looked in my pocket. 16 euros and some change, if it helps. I was going to buy Rosette a birthday present, but no, he said. A bit sharply, I thought. He's never been good at taking money, so perhaps it was the wrong thing to say. I'm fine, Anouk. Well, he didn't look fine. I could see that now. And if he wasn't getting paid... I made the sign of the ear of maize and pressed my palm against his hand. It's a good luck sign that Zosie taught me, for wealth and riches and food and stuff. I don't know how it works, but it does. Zosie used it in the chocolaterie to make more customers buy Maman's truffles. And though obviously that won't help Rue, I'm hoping it'll work some other way. Like getting him another job, or a lotto win, or finding some money in the street. And I made it glow in my mind's eye, so that it shone against his skin like sparkling dust. That ought to do it, Rue, I thought. That way, it won't be charity. Will you come round before Christmas Eve? He shrugged. I don't know. I've got a few things to sort out before then. But you'll come to the party? Promise? I said. I promise, said Rue. Cross your heart and hope to die? Cross my heart and hope to die. Chapter 9. Vienne. Sunday, 16th of December. Rue didn't come to work today. In fact, he hasn't been there all weekend. It turns out that he left early on Friday, checked out of the hostel in which he was staying, and hasn't been seen by anyone since. I suppose I should have expected as much. After all, I asked him to leave. So why do I feel so strangely bereft? And why do I keep looking out for him? Thierry is incandescent with rage. In Thierry's world, to walk off a job is both shameful and dishonest, and it was clear that he would accept no possible excuse. There's something about a cheque, too. A cheque Rue cashed or didn't cash. I didn't see much of Thierry this weekend. Some trouble with the flat, he'd said, when he dropped in briefly on Saturday night. He'd mentioned Rue's absence only in passing, and I hadn't dared ask for too many particulars. Today, he told me the whole thing, calling in at the end of the day. Zosie was just clearing up. Rosette was playing with a jigsaw. She makes no attempt to link the pieces, but instead seems to enjoy making complicated spiral patterns with them on the floor. And I was just starting a last batch of cherry truffles when he came into the shop, clearly furious, red in the face and ready to explode. I knew there was something about him, he said. Those people, they're all a bloody same. Shiftless, thieving, travellers. He gave the word the filthiest inflection, making it sound like an exotic oath. I know he's supposed to be a friend of yours, but even you can't be blind to this. To walk off a job without a word, to mess up my schedule. I'll sue him for that. Perhaps I'll just beat the crap out of the ginger bastard. Thierry, please. I poured him a coffee. Try to calm down. But where the subject of Rue is concerned, it seems that this is impossible. Of course, they're very different people. Solid, unimaginative Thierry, who has never lived outside Paris in his life, whose disapproval of single mothers, alternative lifestyles and foreign food has always rather amused me, till now. Who is he to you anyway? How come he's such a friend of yours? I turned away. We've been through this. Thierry glared. Were you lovers? He said. Is that it? Were you sleeping with the bastard? Thierry, please, tell me the truth. Did you fuck him? He said. Now my hands were trembling. Anger, all the more violent for being suppressed, came rushing to the surface. And what if I did? I snapped at him. Such simple words. Such dangerous words. He stared at me, suddenly grey-faced, and I realised that the accusation, for all its violence, had been just another of Thierry's big gestures. Dramatic, predictable, but ultimately meaningless. He'd needed an outlet for his jealousy, his need for control, his unspoken dismay at the speed at which our trade has improved. He spoke again in a shaky voice. You owe me the truth, Jan, he said. I've let this go for much too long. I don't even know who you are, for God's sake. I just took you on trust, you and your kids. And have you ever heard me complain? A spoiled brat and a retard. Abruptly, he stopped. I stared at him blankly. Finally, he'd crossed a line. On the floor, Rosette looked up from the jigsaw she was playing with. A light flickered overhead. The plastic shapes that I use for making biscuits began to rattle against the tabletop, as if an express train were going by. Jan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thierry was trying to regain lost ground, like a door-to-door salesman who still sees a chance of nailing that elusive deal. But the damage was done. The house of cards, so carefully built, now swept away at a single word. And now I can see what I'd missed before. For the first time, I can see Thierry. I'd already seen his pettiness, his gloating contempt of the underling, his snobbery, his arrogance. But now I can see his colours too. His hidden vulnerabilities, the uncertainty behind his smile, the tension in his shoulders, the odd stiffening of his posture whenever he has to look at Rosette. That ugly word. Of course, I have always been aware that Rosette makes him slightly uncomfortable. As always, he overcompensates, but his cheeriness is a forced thing, like someone petting a dangerous dog. And now I can see that it's not just Rosette. This place makes him uncomfortable. This place we made without his help. Every batch of chocolates, every sale, every customer greeted by name, even the chair on which he sits. All of these things remind him that we three are independent, that we have a life outside of him, that we have a past in which Thierry Le Tressé played no part at all. But Thierry has a past of his own, something that makes him what he is. All his fears are rooted there. His fears, his hopes, his secrets. I look down at the familiar granite slab in which I temper my chocolates. It's a very old piece, black with age, already worn when I acquired it and bearing the scars of repeated use. There are flecks of quartz in the stone that catch the eye unexpectedly, and I watch them shine as the chocolate cools, ready to be heated and tempered again. I don't want to know your secrets, I think. But the granite slab knows different. Spackled with mica, it winks and gleams, catching my eye, holding my gaze. I can almost see them now, images mirrored in the stone. As I watch, they take shape, they begin to make sense. Glimpses of a life, a past that makes Thierry the man he is. That's Thierry in hospital. Younger by 20 years or more, he's waiting outside a closed door. He has 2 gift packs of cigars in his hand, each tied with a ribbon. One pink, one blue. He has covered every base. Now it's another waiting room. There are murals of cartoon characters on the walls. A woman sits close with a child in her arms. The boy is maybe 6 years old. He stares vacantly at the ceiling throughout, and nothing, not Pooh or Tigger or Mickey Mouse, brings the smallest gleam to his eye. A building, not quite a hospital. And a boy, no, a young man, on the arm of a pretty nurse. The young man looks about 25. Bulky like his father, he stoops, his head too heavy for his neck, his smile as vacant as a sunflower's. And now at last I understand. This is the secret he has tried to hide. I understand that broad, bright smile, like a man selling false religion door to door. The way he never speaks of his son, his intense perfectionism, the way he sometimes looks at Rosette, or rather how he doesn't look at her. I gave a sigh. Thierry, I said. It's all right. You don't have to lie to me anymore. Lie to you? About your son? He stiffened then. And even without the granite slab, I could see the agitation growing in him. His face was pale. He started to sweat, and the anger that his fear had displaced came rushing back like an evil wind. He stood up, bear-like suddenly, knocking over his coffee cup and scattering the chocolates in their brightly coloured wrappers all over the tabletop. There's nothing wrong with my son, he said, rather too loudly for the room. Alan's in the building trade, a real chip off the old block. I don't see him much, but that doesn't mean he doesn't respect me, doesn't mean I'm not proud of him. He was shouting now, making Rosette cover her ears. Who's been saying anything else? Was it Roux? Has that bastard been snooping around? It's nothing to do with Roux, I said. If you're ashamed of your own son, then how can you ever care for Rosette? Jan, please. It's not like that. I'm not ashamed. But he was my son. Sarah couldn't have any more children. I just wanted him to be perfect. I know. He took my hands. I can live with it, yeah. I promise I can. We'll get a specialist on the case. She'll have everything she could ever want. Nannies, toys. More gifts, I thought. As if that would change the way he feels. I shook my head. The heart doesn't change. You can lie, hope, pretend to yourself. But in the end, can you ever escape the element to which you were born? He must have seen it in my face. His own face fell, his shoulders slumped. But everything's arranged, he said. Not, I love you, but everything's arranged. And for all the bitter taste in my mouth, I felt a sudden, soaring rush of joy. as if something poisoned in my throat had managed to dislodge itself. Outside, the wind chimes sounded once, and without thinking, I forked the sign against bad luck. Old habits die hard, of course. I haven't made that sign in years. But I couldn't help feeling uncomfortable, as if even such a small thing might reawaken the changing wind. And when Thierry had gone and I was alone, I thought I heard voices on the wind, the voices of the kindly ones, and the distant sound of laughter.
Fucking finally!
Oh my god! Oh,
Oh, worse.
Yep.
oh man.
Why didn't she throw things at him? She was a bit restrained.
I know, right?
I think
There was
she-
a good slab of granite that she could have thrown.
Right?
I was thinking that, yeah. Bludgeon him.
I was when the like chocolate mold started like trembling on the counter. I was expecting Rosette to just like psychically eat it through the window.
Yep.
Not even looking up, just like wham, he smashes through the pane of glass, and then she just signs baby.
Bye-bye.
Oh man, I love how abundantly clear it was in this one just how much they were both using each other as placeholders in each other's lives and not thinking about each other as actual humans.
You're right, that was very satisfying.
Yeah, but we know that these sort of things, isn't this the standard story of any story with magic? That, you know, you play with magic and things are going to go, you know, and things never go well when you try and change the world with magic in stories.
Oh my god. Okay, it's all just going to get more and more exciting from here. I just had a little look at tomorrow's. Ooh. And then, oh my god, Wednesday's going to be the rest of this is just going to get increasingly tense and exciting.
Okay, so predictions. Now that Viana's more like in tune with her like magical side, is she gonna see the cracks in Zosie's facade?
I still think Zosie is the man in black.
Talking of predictions, though, was it Lyric who hasn't read this before who called it about Thierry's son, like in chapter 3 or something? And
I think
was, yeah,
I was
impressive.
so impressed. Lyric, when you said that, I was like, attempting to stone face, and in my mind, I was like, "What you know?"
Let me tell you, if there's something I know about inexperience, it's microaggressions and how quickly they can tell you to stay the fuck away from someone.
Yup. Oh man. Okay. We should say goodbye to the catch-up crew. What is that noise? Who is that? Interesting noise. Before we say goodbye to the catch-up crew, I love you very much, obviously, as always. Send pictures of your Storytime setup. It's my birthday next week. I want to make a big collage with all pictures of the Storytime setups. It doesn't have to be live. You can just stick a previous one on and take a picture. It will take about 20 seconds, and I would very much appreciate it. Thank you, catch-up crew. I love you. Okay. Let's say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Boop, 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 doo, 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 doo. Storytime.